Happy Monday, everyone. This is Martha with Nature Niche. And this week, I'm just going to keep building on my past rare species posts for the month and talk to you today about how to report your rare species observations. I've posted about Michigan's rare species regulations, regulation at the federal level under the Endangered Species Act, and giving you some guidance about how to understand what rare species you might encounter near you. And so the next set of skills I want to help you develop is reporting rare species sightings. And I had the pleasure of attending the Stewardship Network conference the end of last week, and it was a recurring theme. I attended a number of talks by the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Endangered Species Coordinator and several Michigan Natural Features Inventory staff. And the message across all of those presentations, one of the take-homes was, please help us maintain our database, help us understand where rare species are. So I'm going to take a deep dive into that today. I also consider this part of my New Year's resolutions for 2025 because I don't know about you, but I have a lot of wildlife and cool plant photos, and I'm like, I'm going to report this, and then it falls by the wayside. So I'd like to help you. If you've ever helped a Blanding's turtle cross the road, you're in a hurry, maybe it's not safe to stand there, and enter data. I'm going to show you how to, one, go back based on a photo and your memory and help you still be able to report that sighting, and also just kind of walk you through the options you have for reporting rare species observations, whether you're using a smartphone or a tablet. If you just want to take notes and do it the old school way, PDF form submittal, and then using Michigan Natural Features Inventory's Survey 123 app. And I've mentioned before that rare species data is sensitive. You don't want to subject something to poaching, getting collected for the pet trade, or dug up and put in somebody's garden. And so I'm going to handle this reporting example using an observation of a wood frog that I made while participating in some Michigan Vernal Pool Patrol training I took at Chippewa Nature Center this past spring. And in that way, not sharing anything on my public YouTube channel that might put a rare species in jeopardy. Okay, so I hope by now this Michigan Natural Features Inventory website is looking familiar. This is where I showed you where you could find information about Michigan's rare species. It is also where you can go to get more information about how to report an observation. And overall, there are three primary ways to report in a helpful way to Michigan Natural Features Inventory. And on this website, they have a story map that's very helpful for kind of understanding how and why you would want to do this. It's all about conserving Michigan's biodiversity, and it's helping Michigan Natural Features Inventory to keep their natural heritage database as up to date as possible. This database is used for maintaining a record of all the element occurrences across the state. So all the dots you see here are part of that database, and it's everything from very old herbaria records, 1800s kind of documents, to present day observations of our rare species. And this database gets queried when folks are doing projects, everything from, putting up a building to getting a wetland permit, maybe to put a culvert in, to designing a bike trail or something like that. And so it's really important that we have the most up to date information in here to help decision makers plan both like construction projects that are going to disrupt the landscape, but also land management and when to use, where, how to use prescribed fire, or other vegetation management like forestry mowing, tree removal, or where to even concentrate our rare species conservation efforts. I think in a lot of cases, lots of different people know where rare things are, but if they don't make it into this database, they can't help for the greater good of conserving our rare species. So that's some of the why. You can definitely take a look at this story map that MNFI has provided. But let's take a look at how you can report your observations. All right, so the first thing I want to point out are these PDF instructions. Definitely helpful to have on hand and read before you attempt to report data to MNFI. So here's what they look like. You can download them and have them for reference if you're going to be working on your desktop and trying to report from past photographic records, or have it in the field with you if you're going out and you want easy reference trying to use the field-based application. So Survey 123 is the application that Michigan Natural Features Inventory prefers you to use. So if you're comfortable doing that, there are two ways. You can download it on your mobile device and use the field-based application, or you can choose to use the web browser version. Just note that if you haven't ever used ArcGIS Survey 123 on your mobile device, you'll need to download it first, and that will help you get into the form that they have set up. You need to have this downloaded first, and you certainly don't need to sign in or create an account or in any way pay for this. It's all free. Just follow the instructions. And to be able to do this, you'll need a data or Wi-Fi connection. To send to MNFI, there is an option to, if you aren't connected at the time you're taking the observation, you can save it to an outbox and then send it off when you do have a reliable connection. And I like these written out instructions because they go through the different fields that you'll need to enter, like the survey date and time, and what they want as far as observers and affiliation. And they do ask for an email in case they have questions about the photos you submit. I will say that to do a credible species report and have it accepted and entered into MNFI's Natural Heritage Database, they do require photos, just so it can be confirmed that you're seeing the species that they're trying to track and record. So make sure you take photos. And then there are different fields that you'll need to fill in. We'll take a look at those as I do an example from that wood frog, but they'll ask you to add photos and information specific to whether it's an animal species or a plant species. And honestly, this type of information is going to be similar, even if you don't live in Michigan and you're trying to report to another natural heritage database for another state. They're going to be interested in the same things. Is the animal an adult or juvenile? Any specific behaviors you can observe? They also often ask about numbers, like how many did you see and how did you determine that? And Also, for plants, like were they flowering or not? What's the vigor? And what other species for both, like animals, what's the habitat, the vegetation, same thing for plants. What are the species growing with the rare species that you're seeing? And it just helps to take those notes. Even if you're doing this with pencil and paper and reporting it later, it's good to write those things down if you can, or take photos of those things. Those context photos definitely are helpful too, not just of the species. And trying to think, yes, because they ask for habitat description, and then they'll want to know if this is associated with a particular rare species permit. For most of us citizen scientists reporting, it won't be. But yeah, these directions are good to review. And if you have any trouble or questions, here's the contact at MNFI, Courtney Ross, for helping you if you have any hiccups. Once you've reviewed the instructions, you can then navigate to MNFI's Rare Species Forum. You can either follow the QR code or click the link. And then here's where you decide, am I on my mobile device and I'm going to use the Survey 123 field application, or am I on desktop and want to open in a web browser? So I clicked the web browser and started filling in the rare species observation. So I saw the wood frog on April 13th around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, typed in my name. I was out with a group as part of the Michigan Vernal Pool Patrol training. Added in my email address if they have any questions about the photos I'll be loading. It was a casual observation. I certainly wasn't out doing a species specific survey for, something rare on purpose. And then general location, put in Chippewa Nature Center. And the map here will default. You can play around if it helps you. Say you're trying to work from memory, and different road, like street maps, or different background imagery would help you. You can play with that. You can also hit this bullseye or target location. And this is what it'll look like if you're using the Field app on your phone. It'll just mark, show right away where you are if you hit that. Or you can play down here with entering the lat long. And so my phone had it in degrees, minutes, seconds. Let me just check to make sure. Let's see. So I was at 43:35, 59 seconds, and I was at 84:17 and 46 seconds. And so you can see that puts us at Chippewa Nature Center. And if I zoom in just to make sure it makes sense, look at that beautiful vernal pool where we were off of one of their trail systems for the training. So you can, if you're working from an old photo, here's how you can find where you were at and make sure you're reporting the correct location. How I got that information. So if I right click on my photo under properties and then details, it's very helpful information. It'll show date and time your photo was taken. And here's where I got those lat long numbers for the location to help me make sure I'm reporting correctly for your observation. And then under species identification, this is where they want you to add in images. So you can pull from your camera roll if you're working on your mobile device, or if your desktop, you can, let's see if I can get this to, you can just drag and drop. So I'm just going to drag and drop my photo of my wood frog there. And then search type for saying what kind of species. I'm going to keep it at species name. I'm reporting an animal. I'll search by common name. If you know the scientific name, that's great. And then the drop down will give you all sorts of things. And it looks like they are grouped by type of species. So all the amphibians are together, all the birds are together. So I'm going to scroll down here till I find, there's wood frog. It'll fill in scientific and common name. It does note that it's not tracked in the Natural Heritage Database. I think these are in here as part of vernal pool monitoring, maybe frog and toad survey. But it was a great way to show you without putting up some compromising rare species data. And then it's asking for information. I had one adult. It was an actual count. And let's look at evidence type. I photographed it. Any note. I'm gonna, you could put in size. If you could take a photo with the scale, that's even better. Behavior. This was an adult in a vernal pool. Any other notes about behavior? If you have a bird doing alarm calls at a nest or feeding young, things like that. If I had seen the adult near an egg mass, something like that, we could record that there. And then habitat description. This was a vernal pool, just off trail at Chippewa Nature Center. And the more detail you can provide here, the better. I could say it's in a dry mesic northern forest, few invasive species. Here they ask about disturbance. So if you see invasive species, you could list them out here. They're trying to get at the threats to the species that you're seeing. Is there evidence of pollution, like, I don't know, dumping or runoff from a parking lot, or is there like a foot trail or, something going on that's fragmenting the habitat? Any notes on hydrology? Like here I might put the depth range of the vernal pool at that time, and they ask you to rate the overall site quality. So I'd say pretty good. It's a nice large vernal pool and a pretty intact landscape at Chippewa Nature Center. And this was not part of a threatened and endangered species permit. I used to hold one of these as a consultant, and if I were doing a formal threatened and endangered species survey, I would check that. But since I'm just operating as a community scientist now, I'd stick with no. And then I'm not going to hit submit because this is an example, but this is where you would submit the observation to MNFI. So pretty painless overall, right? If you're really old school, there is still the option though to fill out a PDF form and email it in with photos to MNFI. And so if you're more comfortable doing that, know that this special species form is out there. And just to take a quick look, it's actually a little more detailed than what we just did using Survey 123, but a lot of the same information. And then I believe at the bottom, yes, there are places where you can insert your images, and if you hand draw a map or like mark something up and take a screen capture, have an old field map, something like that, you can take a photo and insert it here. And then I just want to end by mentioning federally listed species. Michigan Natural Features Inventory certainly wants to know about all the everything from we think it's extirpated, special concern, threatened, endangered, state species, and the federally listed species. So that's your first. If you have a federally listed species, I always liked to get it in the hands of Fish and Wildlife Service as well as quickly as possible. DNR, MNFI, Fish and Wildlife Service, they all do share data. It can just take some time. That database is huge, and updates can take some time, and sharing can take some time. So I worked with Carrie Tansey a fair bit in the East Lansing field office. You can definitely, reach out through this particular Michigan Ecological Services field office and just shoot them an email and say, hey, I saw this federally listed species. And I would especially do that. Say it's in a county where that species hasn't been found before. There's a pending project or looming threats to the species. I'd certainly just go ahead and contact them directly. But I hope that this run through, thanks for sticking with me, helps you feel confident in being able to report your rare species observations as a community scientist. Take care and have a good week.